Welcome to the Shift Your Story, Change Your Life podcast. I'm Allie Rose, certified clinical hypnotherapist and subconscious success coach. I help my clients stop self-sabotage and feel safe to create more wealth, worth, and wellness from within. If you find yourself stuck repeating the same unhelpful patterns in your life, health, business, or relationships, even after all the mindset work, this podcast is for you. Each week, you'll hear deep dives into the hidden beliefs shaping your life and live hypno coaching sessions where someone shifts a block in real time. Because willpower isn't the problem, your subconscious story is. And when you shift it at the root, everything else begins to change. So let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to the Shift Your Story, Change Your Life podcast. Before we dive in, let me give you a quick overview of where we're headed today. We're going to talk about the 1 degree shift and why the change you've been chasing is almost never the dramatic overhaul you think it has to be. We're going to get into why being really self-aware and still feeling stuck doesn't mean you're the problem. And I'm going to tell you the real story behind my one small change method, including the season of my life it came out of, which is not a season I would have chosen. We'll talk about what it actually looks like to rebuild trust in yourself through small promises instead of one dramatic one. And then I'll show you how all of this became the foundation for mind shifts and momentum, which, by the way, is open right now. Okay, let's get into it. So I want to start out with a question that sounds like a riddle, but isn't. What do a plane leaving Los Angeles headed for New York and the reason you're still stuck have in common? Now, stay with me because I promise this goes somewhere good. So here's the thing about that plane. It takes off from Los Angeles, headed to New York, and somewhere right at the start, the pilot nudges the course by 1 degree, just one. And nobody on that plane feels a thing. No one's panicking. The flight attendants aren't tossing snacks down the aisle. The pilot's definitely not grabbing the speaker to announce that everything is different now. It's 1 degree. It's almost nothing. But stretch that 1 degree across the whole flight, across all those miles, and you don't land in New York anymore. You land somewhere else completely. 1 degree, that's the whole difference. And I'm opening with this on purpose because it's the exact thing that you need to know about change. The change that you've been chasing, the one that feels so big and so far away, it's almost never the dramatic overhaul you think it has to be. It's 1 degree, which honestly is a little bit annoying because if you're anything like the women I work with, you didn't come here for 1 degree. You came here ready to blow the whole thing up and rebuild it from scratch. You've already done the work. You know your pattern by heart. You can name exactly when it started and you're still stuck. And when you're that aware and still stuck, it starts to feel like maybe you're the problem. And I promise you, you're not the problem. You don't need to do more. You've been doing plenty. You might just need to do 1 degree on purpose over and over. And honestly, most lasting change gets built in those smaller moments long after that big burst of motivation has worn off. It's when you don't feel like doing the thing and you do one small version of it anyway. It's when you miss a day and you come back instead of disappearing on yourself. It's when you feel that old pattern reaching for the wheel and you pause just long enough to choose differently. And notice I didn't say choose perfectly. I said choose differently. That's a big difference. And it's really in the small stuff, right? Posting one piece of content, checking your bank account 1 time a day, walking for 10 minutes, coming back after you missed a day instead of deciding that the whole thing is ruined. None of that feels noteworthy in the moment, but over time, those small shifts create new evidence, and your subconscious mind, it loves evidence. Because every single time that you keep a small promise to yourself, You're giving your nervous system a brand new experience of what you're actually capable of. You slowly become someone who comes back, someone who follows through, someone who can take a step without needing to feel completely ready at first. And that's how self trust gets rebuilt, you guys, not through one giant dramatic promise, through the small promises you can actually keep. So, I want to tell you why I built mind shifts and momentum based on the one small change method, because it didn't come out of a textbook or some certification. It came straight out of my own life in a chapter that I would never in a million years have written for myself. So I want to take you back to around 2017. It was the stretch leading up to my separation and then divorce with my then husband. And in those first couple of years after we separated, it was really the lowest of lows in my entire life. Somewhere in there, I just stopped believing that I was worthy of love at all. I didn't believe I was worthy of love from a partner, not from the people around me, my friends and my family. And if I'm being truly honest with you, not even from God, that's how low I was. And the end of a marriage has this way of taking the version of your future that you were so sure about and just dismantling it right there in your hands. It takes the plans that you made, the assumptions you never even thought to question, the whole story that you've been telling about who you were and where your life was headed, and it just stops all of it from being true at the same time. And underneath all of the grief and the logistics, there was this quiet, constant little voice telling me that I wasn't enough and maybe never had been. And here's the part that really humbled me. Every single tool that I had ever used to push through something hard just stopped working. I could not outplan this. I could not outorganize it. I could not achieve my way back to feeling worthy no matter how badly I wanted to. And trust me, I wanted to. The harder I tried to force my way through, the more lost I felt. So one day, randomly, I reached for the smallest thing possible. And I decided that every single day, I was going to write one affirmation and a short reflection just to anchor me. That was it. That was the whole thing. And on the days that I didn't believe a word of it, I said it anyway. On the days that the uncertainty felt like way too much, I came back to it anyway. And honestly, it felt almost embarrassingly small next to how big the pain was. But it was the one promise that I could actually keep to myself during that time. And here's what I want you to really hear, because the timeline matters to me. Those 2 years from 2017 to 2019, that wasn't just the season that I was falling apart in. That was the season that I was slowly, quietly, consistently building myself back up. One small action at a time. On the mornings that it felt pointless, on the mornings that it felt impossible, I kept the promise. And little by little, I started to believe it. The words that I'd been repeating without much faith at all started to feel true. That voice that kept telling me that I wasn't worthy got quieter, and a steadier one started to take its place. I wasn't waiting around for my circumstances to fix themselves first. I was changing what I believed about myself right there in the middle of the mess. And slowly my life started to reorganize itself around the new beliefs. And I have to tell you that rebuilding phase is the thing that I credit for the life that I have now. The beautiful relationship I'm in today, the marriage that I just celebrated, I really do trace it back to that one small daily practice, because I had to become someone who believed that she was worthy of that kind of love before I could even recognize it, let alone receive it. The one small change didn't just get me through the hard part, it built the person who got to walk into the good part. And there's a verse that carried me through that whole season, and I still come back to it all the time. It's this idea of being transformed by the renewing of your mind, not the renewing of your circumstances, not waiting for everything around you to finally look different before you're allowed to feel like yourself again. The renewing of your mind. And that is exactly what those daily affirmations were doing. They were renewing my mind one totally ordinary morning at a time. And here's the strangest part, and this is actually something I was telling someone about pretty recently. Although that stretch of time was really painful and I had to face what I believed about myself, that stretch of time, that stretch of rebuilding was actually one of the most peaceful seasons of my entire life, even though it was easily the most uncertain. Like everything around me was completely unresolved. And somehow I felt more at home in myself than I had in years. And that's when I really understood it in my body and not just in my head. The thing I now teach all the time, you can't out strategize a subconscious story. You can't think your way into a new life. Real change doesn't begin with doing more, it begins with renewing the mind, one small shift at a time, until the person that you're becoming just starts choosing differently without having to white knuckle it. And that one small change, it didn't stay small. Little by little, my confidence came back. I started my private practice. I took those affirmations that had carried me and I turned them into a book. And those same words went on to help other people heal too. And that's the part that still gets me. One small change doesn't stay in its own little corner of your life. It spills into the next area and then the next one. And eventually it spills right out of you and into the people around you. And that's the whole reason I'm sitting here talking to you right now. I want to hand you the same path I had to go find on my own. Like I said earlier, not the dramatic overhaul, the small, repeatable, deeply human practice of changing your mind so that your life and the people around you can actually feel it. This is the heart of what I call the one small change method, and it's also the entire foundation of Mind Shifts and Momentum. Mind Shifts and Momentum is a membership I created for the deeply self aware, high functioning human who knows exactly what to do to build the life they want, but is tired of fighting themselves to do it. It's for you if you've built a life you're genuinely proud of by being the person who can figure it out, hold it together, push through, make it work, even when you're completely exhausted. But listen, and I want you to lean in here a little bit. Deep down, you know that pushing harder is not the answer anymore. Because what got you to this level of success is not going to be the thing that takes you to the next one. And you're ready to stop cycling through the same patterns over and over and finally start building some real momentum. And the structure, I made it intentionally simple. And not because the work is shallow, okay? But because your life is already so full. You don't need another program that turns into a part time job. You don't need 97 videos you feel guilty for not watching, or some complicated dashboard that makes you feel behind 3 days after you joined. Nobody needs that. So here's how it works. The second you join, you get instant access to two things. The first is the Subconscious Success Audit Workshop, which is basically a guided life assessment to help you get clear on what's actually working, what feels challenging, and where you want to focus first. And this is the exact structure I walk my clients through to figure out what they want to work on. Because sometimes we're so busy trying to fix every single thing that we never actually stop and ask what really needs our attention right now. So the audit helps you slow down just long enough to spot the one area that's most ready to shift and the one small step that would move you closer to it. The second thing that you get immediate access to is my full hypnosis audio library, which has recordings around self sabotage, weight and food, wealth, worth, and business. And both of those are yours immediately the second that you join. So from there, every month you choose one small shift. That's where we start. One shift. And maybe for you, it's visibility. So you're going to post one piece of content or make one invitation. Or maybe it's money, so you're gonna look at your bank account once a day or track your spending. Or maybe it's wellness, so you walk for 15 minutes a day. Or maybe it's just follow through, plain and simple, like deciding in the morning that you're gonna do one thing and then you actually do that thing. And once you've chosen your shift, you can declare it inside the membership. And there's something really powerful about saying, this is a thing that I'm going to do out loud for other people to see. because all of a sudden it's not just floating around in your head as some vague idea anymore. It's real. And then we get into the subconscious side of things because obviously, if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you already know that knowing the pattern is not the same thing as shifting the pattern. So, inside the membership, we do that work through weekly audio drops and live hypno coaching sessions. So, the weekly audio drops, those are short. They're designed to keep the shift active in your real life because sometimes what actually moves the needle isn't another 2-hour training, right? Sometimes it's just 5 minutes of hearing the exact thing your brain has been circling around. And then each month, there are also 2 live 90-minute hypno coaching sessions. One is a group hypno coaching session where we work with the subconscious resistance underneath the shift you're practicing. And the second one, this is what I call a love seat hypno coaching session. So it's kind of like a hot seat where a selected member can bring a pattern, a block, a question, or just a place where they feel stuck and we work through it together in real time. And everyone else in the room gets to witness it and apply the insight to their own shift. Because if you've ever been in a group coaching or healing space, you know exactly what I mean when I say sometimes someone else opens their mouth and says the precise thing you didn't even know that you needed to hear. And then on the more practical side, there's the 21-day momentum challenge. So for 21 days each month, you post inside the community to share whether or not you took your small step. And it's not about being perfect, not even a little. It's just about showing up for yourself. You stay in the room, you stay connected to the shift. And every accountability post also enters you into that month's $100 drawing. And not because you need a gold star, but because honestly, sometimes the brain just loves a little reward while we're busy teaching it that showing up is safe and worth doing again. There's also an ongoing Q&A thread, which is where you get to bring your real, actual live questions into the room. And members also get 30% off members only pricing on private sessions with me and any custom hypnosis audio for whenever you want deeper, more individualized support around a specific pattern or shift. So if you're listening to this, the doors to mind shifts and momentum are already open. And if you enroll before the founding window closes, you'll also lock in founding member pricing at $47 a month. The price is going up to $97 a month for future members. But if you join now, your rate stays the same. And I want to be really clear about one thing here because I feel so strongly about it. Mind shifts and momentum is not built on the idea that you're broken and that you need to be fixed. That's not it at all. I don't want you dependent on me. I've said this for years and I really mean it. My whole goal is to help you trust yourself again, to help you to stop needing that dramatic overhaul every single time you want something to change. Because if you've tried everything and you still feel stuck, the answer might not be more. It might be smaller, more specific, more supported, more subconscious. One small change, 1 degree, one tiny shift that doesn't look dramatic at first, but over time changes the whole destination. So this week, I have just one question for you. What's one small change that would make you trust yourself more if you actually followed through with it? Not what would impress other people or magically fix your entire life. And notice what comes up when you sit with it, the resistance, the excuses, the bargaining. That's not failure, that's information. That's actually where the work begins. And if you want to do that work with some support, Mind Shifts and Momentum is open right now. Head to therootedwellnesscollective.com/mindshifts, or you can find the link in the show notes. You don't have to wait until you've tried everything. You don't have to keep starting over and over. You can start with one small change, and sometimes that's the very thing that ends up changing everything. I really hope that this was helpful for you, and I'm sending you so much love and gratitude. Until next time, bye. Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Shift Your Story, Change Your Life podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Feel free to send me a message on social media I'm at the Allie Rose on both Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to be coached on a future episode or explore what it would look like to work with me one-on-one, head over to shiftyourstorypodcast.com. And if you never want to miss an episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a rating and review. It helps more people find this work. Until next time, keep shifting, keep growing, and most importantly, I want you to remember that your story isn't set in stone. You always have the power to shift it.